Let's talk about retail in Latin America. It's this buzzing, vibrant sector, and you know who's at the heart of it? Women. They are the face of the industry on the store floors, making things happen. But here's the thing. If you start looking up the corporate ladder, a whole different story begins to unfold. We're going to dive into this paradox, where women are the engine of the industry, but they're still underrepresented where it counts the most, in leadership, in their paychecks, and in the big decisions.
So, to really get what's happening, we've got to look at the numbers. And trust me, they paint a pretty shocking picture. A story of a massive contribution on one side and a huge gap in opportunity on the other. So, on the one hand, you've got this. Women make up nearly 60% of the entire retail workforce in Latin America. 60%. They are, without a doubt, the absolute backbone of this industry. But then, you look at the boardroom, and that number just plummets. According to the Mexican Institute for Competitiveness, women hold only 12% of board seats in Mexican companies. I mean, that is the glass ceiling right there in the numbers. A huge workforce at the bottom, and just a tiny fraction making it to the very top.
And it's not just about getting the top jobs. It's about the money. The Inter-American Development Bank dug into this, and what they found is pretty revealing. Even when you compare people with similar education, similar experience, in similar jobs, women in Latin America are still earning 22% less than men. This isn't a small difference. It's a deep, structural problem.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just a social issue. It's a massive economic opportunity. Closing these gaps isn't just the right thing to do, it is absolutely the smart thing to do. The data on what's being called the equality dividend is just incredibly compelling. Okay, let's talk bottom line, profit. A huge study by McKinsey looked at 6 different Latin American countries. What they found was that companies with women on their executive committees had profit margins that were a staggering 47% higher. That's a direct, powerful link between diverse leadership and financial success. So, what if we took that idea and applied it to the entire region? Well, McKinsey ran those numbers too. They estimate that if women participated in the economy at the same level as men, it could boost Latin America's annual GDP by 34%. We're talking about an extra $2.6 trillion. That's not just a little boost, that's game-changing money. And hey, this isn't just a theory. Companies that are already putting their money where their mouth is are seeing the results. A recent survey showed that 86% of organizations are reporting a positive return on their investment in diversity, equity, and inclusion strategies. The business case is, frankly, a slam dunk. You know, Eva Wiedlach, the president of UN Women Spain, really summed it up perfectly. She said equality is the direct path to making companies more diverse, more competitive, and, at the end of the day, just better places for everyone to work. All right, so the why is crystal clear, right? The business case is undeniable. But now for the big question, how do we actually do it? How does a company go from saying, yeah, this is a problem, to actually fixing it? Let's walk through a practical playbook for making it happen.
So, what are we even talking about when we say a DE&I strategy? Well, at its heart, it's about one thing: systematically creating a workplace where everyone truly gets a fair shot. It's about actively breaking down the old barriers that have held people back, whether that's in hiring, promotions, or pay. And it's not some vague idea. There's actually a roadmap, a clear, step-by-step process for real change. It all starts at the top, with commitment from leadership. Then, you have to figure out where you are right now, and that's the diagnosis. From there, it's about training your people, fixing your hiring and promotion systems, and then, and this is key, constantly measuring your progress. It's a whole cycle designed to build a culture that lasts. And for companies who are thinking, where do we even start? There are tools out there to help. Take Mexico, for example. There's a formal government standard, the NMX R-025, that basically provides a certified framework for workplace equality. It shows that this path can be structured, it can be measured, and it can even be officially recognized. Okay, so we've got the theory, we've got the frameworks, but what does this look like in the real world? Let's check out some big names in the region who are actually walking the walk and making a real difference. First up, a huge player, Walmart de Mexico. In 2022, they hit a really impressive number. 41% of their executive positions were held by women. That is a powerful, tangible example of a retail giant putting in the work to balance the scales right at the very top. Then you've got Diageo. They did something really smart. They totally revamped their parental leave. By offering generous, paid leave to both the primary and secondary caregivers, No matter their gender, they're directly fighting that old motherhood penalty and encouraging shared responsibility at home. And that is a total game changer for women's long-term careers. And this next one is just a brilliant example of thinking outside the box. Wholesome Ecuador created a program called Women at the Wheel. They're literally giving scholarships to women to get licensed as professional heavy vehicle drivers. This kind of initiative just shatters old stereotypes and opens up brand new economic doors for women in fields they've always been told weren't for them. So, when you look at all these examples, a really important idea emerges. True progress isn't just about hitting quotas for one group. It's about fundamentally redesigning the entire workplace culture so that it's more supportive and inclusive for everybody. And that brings us to a super critical piece of the puzzle, allyship. As the Australian Retailers Association points out, men have to be active allies in this. When men advocate for change and when they actually take parental leave themselves, it helps break down those ancient stigmas and paves the way for a culture that's truly equal. So, when we pull it all together, what does a truly inclusive workplace feel like? Well, it's a place where you're paid for the value you bring, not your gender. It's where hiring is structured to be fair and unbiased, where flexible work isn't a special perk but an option for everyone. It's where you know exactly what it takes to get promoted, and it's a place with absolutely zero tolerance for harassment or discrimination. These aren't just policies on a piece of paper, they are the pillars of a modern, resilient, and high-performing company. You know, the future of the retail industry is being decided as we speak, in every meeting, in every hiring decision, every single day. So it really all comes down to one simple but really powerful question. In your organization, who's holding the pen?